Okay, what we're going to work on today is we're going to do some examples of auxiliary view drawing sketches. I've got some drawings that we're going to look at, and we're going to sketch the auxiliary views for you. The first example we have is this block with an L-shaped cutout, and you can see the L shape is at an angle. Now, the nice thing about this example is we have a set of blocks or a grid on the side view to help us figure out how large it needs to be. And we have a corresponding grid that is perpendicular to the surface in question. So that's going to allow us to draw this a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my drawing tools ready. I'm going to use my drawing tools in PowerPoint to sketch this one line. I'm going to go ahead and begin by making one line to basically mimic the front surface of my part. Now this part, if I go ahead and count the blocks, you can see that I have 9 spaces between this front surface and this back surface. So I'm going to go ahead and count up 9. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line for my back surface as well. Okay? Now from there, I can use these numbers to help me draw the other edges. If I take a look at 3 to 4, that is going to be on this line, and that's going to go from front to back. Go ahead and sketch that there. If I look at 5 to 6, it's going to be halfway between these two lines, and it only goes over 4 blocks. Okay? Now the back surface or the top surface goes over 5 from the back, and that's going to be located on this line. And I can connect those two together because I'll have an edge. And that is the auxiliary surface of A that we have. However, I do have the background lines that I have to draw. If I look at this lower corner, that's going to project up onto this line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to darken that in as well. And if I take a look at this back edge, I need to project a line up for that particular surface. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a projection line up, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect these lines together. And I'm going to redo that one so it's a little bit neater. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my eraser to trim that segment away. So that is going to be this little rectangle that's right here is going to be this little top surface. Now I need to also project this line. If I take a look at this, that's going to be halfway between those first two lines. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that back there as well. And that'll complete this surface and that surface. In addition, I'm going to have to also project this back corner. If I take a look here, project it up, it's going to be about even there. Now that's going to go all the way across, and it's going to be a hidden line. So I can go ahead and draw that in like so. And I'll be finished this particular example. The next example we have does not have a grid, but we are going to go ahead and sketch that with the same techniques that we have. Now I'm going to begin by sketching surface A, since that's the surface in question, and then we'll worry about the background lines afterwards. This angular surface is my surface in question, so I'm going to draw a series of projection lines that are 90 degrees from that line to any of the intersections that I have. And we're going to trim those lines in a little bit. So the first line I'm going to use is my front surface. I'm going to draw that right here. And then I can also draw the back surface. Now I'm going to approximate my width. And I'm going to say that it's going to be right back there at the end of my projection lines. I'm going to also go in on each side to draw this flat surface. Okay, and then I'm going to go and draw an angle. Now I'm going to have to trim my line for that back surface. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my angled line in, like so. And then I'm going to have to draw this little subtraction, this little slot that's right here. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some erasing, do some cleaning up. And it looks like I'm going to have to go back and just clean some, add some other lines, and I can do that. All right. So, and I can erase this entire stroke and that entire stroke. I don't need it. I'm going to go back and re-add in my top surface here and here so that is complete. Now I'm also going to have to draw the other edges that I do see, so I'm going to project that back. I'm going to draw a projection line, and this projection line has to be 90 degrees from the surface in question. Same here, and then also same here. Okay, now this line will continue down because I've got a little bit of additional width, and then it's going to go straight down like so. And this edge is going to be flat. It's going to go straight back to this edge. So I will go ahead and draw that connection there and there. I'll have to go back and trim this line in a few minutes. Now this surface here, you can see from the top, it's going to look like two rectangles. So I'll go ahead and connect those together as well. It's a little rough because of the sketch, but I think you understand the point. So I'm going to go ahead and use my eraser to trim some segments here. And I'll have to go back and add those in, trim this segment down here as well. I'll go ahead and add those in back there again, just to clean those up a bit. Okay. What I'm also going to have to do is I'm going to have to draw this angled surface as well, but I need to know where they begin and where they end. And there's also a projection, the slot I'm going to see from the top. So I need to go ahead and I need to draw those angled surfaces. I need to project them up from this back edge. Okay, so I'm going to use those lines to help me draw the angles. This is going to go straight back because that's where the top of the slot goes. And that's going to go all the way to that line. That's going all the way to that line. And then I can go ahead and connect my corners here and here. And you'll see that the angle looks a little bit different because I'm looking at that surface at an angle. So I need to go ahead and do some trimming and erasing. So I'm going to trim here and here, and then I'm going to erase the rest of the lines here and there. Okay? The only other line that I need to draw is my back edge, and that's going to be a hidden line that goes all the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to project that. I'm not going to worry about drawing an extension line, but I'm going to go ahead and project that out. It's going to be about right there. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my hidden line across the back for that back surface. And that will complete that auxiliary view. The last one I'm going to do today is going to be this particular part. And you can see that I have an isometric here. I have a front view and I have a top view. You'll notice that in the top view, I've got this curved surface shown as a circle, which means that it's going to show up as an ellipse in the auxiliary view. Then I have this elliptical shape here, which means it's going to show up as a circle in the auxiliary view. So the first thing in question is I identify the angular surface and draw some projection lines from that area. So I'm going to go ahead and start and make sure my projection lines are about 90 degrees. And I'm going to need all these projection lines up to help me draw my circle. And I'm going to go ahead and include these surfaces as well. Okay? All right, the next step is I need to draw a vertical line in orientation to the auxiliary view. That way I can go ahead and start with the thickness of my surface. And I'm going to approximate, here it says 2.5. I'm going to approximate that here on my auxiliary view there. Now I should draw the vertical center line for this hole about halfway in between. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw that center line like so, and that's going to help me draw that circle right in that area. So that'll be my next step, is to draw that circle. And I'll zoom into that, that way it's a little bit easier to draw. Here we go. Now I could go ahead and do some trimming here, just to clean this up a little bit. And it looks like I need to go back and erase some of the strokes here and here. And then I'll have to go back and just add in a couple of surfaces that got erased from my sketching there. And I will erase that particular stroke there. Okay, now this edge needs to stay and that edge needs to stay there. So I should also trim those, because I don't need to see that edge here or here or here. Okay, now I'm going to use my small eraser just to clean up my center line so it's a little bit nicer to see. The next step is I need to draw the other surfaces. And by the way, this one here is not supposed to be perpendicular. We need to make sure that that's a rounded edge. See, it's a full radius in the top view, so it's going to be an elliptical shape here. So what I need to do next is I need to go ahead and I need to project that line up for my center line. And I'm going to zoom in so I can easily draw my elliptical shape. And then I can erase this surface here. This surface here, and I can use my stroke eraser to erase that and that. Okay, the next step is I'm going to go ahead and draw the background surfaces that I see down here in this area and down here or up here in that area. So I need to project those lines back. So I'm going to go ahead and project that line back. I'm going to project this line back. And I'm also going to need another center line for that other ellipse. Okay. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can draw these lines a little bit easier. And I'm going to extend that back, extend that back. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my curve first, my elliptical shape, like so. And then I can draw my connecting line from my back surface to the front surface. We go ahead and erase these strokes here. And I can go ahead and clean this up as well. Now that I have that there, I can go back and draw in that surface there. Now the only line that I have left to draw in this particular auxiliary view is that back corner surface, which lines up very nicely with that back edge. And I also have the hole going through. So I'm going to pause that, draw that for you, and then explain it to you after it's done. Okay, so when we look at this back corner, you can see that back corner lines up exactly with the bottom of the hole. This hole is drawn perpendicular to that surface, so you will not see a hidden ellipse or hidden circle in the back. That's why this circle, this shape, or this this line shows up there.